Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel, and there we go, we got another event that's going on in Marvel Future 5 right now, where we are going to get a Dimension chest, a CTP Dimension chest from the 28 days check-in event very soon. That's fantastic. So today I'm going to talk about the top 10 best characters for each of the CTP that is currently available in the game right now, kind of like the top 10 CTP guide, so that it might give you a better idea of who to put them on, so that you know what to do with those CTPs that you are having right now. As always, it is based on my opinion. You can definitely feel free to leave your own list in the comment box below. We can discuss together, but this is my CTP list. So without any further ado, let's get started with the most popular one. We got the CTP of Rage here, one of the best CTP in the game right now, probably the best CTP for PvE. This is definitely the CTP list that you are looking for. So here are my top 10 best choices for a CTP of Rage. No surprise, we got Lunar Snow as the number 1 choice, and then we got Captain Marvel as the second best option, followed by Odin, Namor, Silver Surfer, Mystique, Magneto, Professor X, Captain America, and last but not least, we got Doctor Strange as the last one. This CTP is made especially for those characters that want to smash those PvE content like Giant Boss Ray, World Boss Ultimate, and want to get extremely high score in Extreme Lance Battle and Scorch Battle. However, this CTP is not going to do well in any of the PvP game mode. Yeah, of course the dodge is definitely helpful, but it's just not made for PvP. It's a PvE weapon. Other than that, this CTP is basically for those characters that deal tons of damage with most of their skill, like Lunar Snow, like Namor. So that means the character is not going to do a lot of damage with just one skill. So they focus all of their damage on multiple skills instead of one skill. And the other thing you will notice that the characters here that are doing very well with CTP of Rage are generally very difficult to play with a regular damage proc like Odin, Lunar Snow, Magneto, and the most popular one is definitely Doctor Strange. I have tested them before, they are just very hard to play with a regular damage pro, but with a Rage it will be much easier. So these are the characters that are doing very well in almost all the PvE game mode with a CTP of Rage, and then they are able to achieve a very high score in Extreme Lance Battle, like for example those characters like Lunar Snow, Captain Marvel, Odin, Namor, and Silver Surfer, and maybe Magneto and Professor X can easily score over 7 million with a Rage. Yeah. That's just how strong they are with the CTP of Rage, so let's move on. Next up, we got CTP of Energy. This is another type of PvE CTP, same as a Rage. If you want to smash Giant Boss Ray, if you want to smash World Boss Ultimate, and if you want to get a very high score in Extreme Lance Battle, this is a CTP for you. And as you can see right over here, this is my top 10 choices for a CTP of Energy. We got Sharon Rogers number 1, Cable number 2, Beta Ray Bill number 3, Quicksilver number 4, Deadpool number 5, and followed by Scarlet Witch, Gambit, Captain America, Mr. Fantastic, and Cyclops. So these are the characters that can actually work very well with a CTP of Energy. This CTP is basically for those characters that deal tons of damage with just 2 or 3 skill combo, like for example Quicksilver 5 and 4 combo or 5 and tier 3 combo. What you have to do is just to cancel the 5 and proc on either 4 or tier 3 skill, and that's how a CTP of Energy works for Quicksilver in all the PvE game mode. Another example I would like to show you is about Sharon Rogers, either 3-5-4 combo or 3-5 tier 3 combo. So what you have to do is just to cancel a 3rd skill and then cancel a 5th skill and try to get the full damage proc on either her 4th skill or tier 3 skill, and guess what? She can easily wipe out at least 40 bars of Master Mode with just a snap, with just a 3-5 and tier 3 combo. That is how crazy she is with the CTP of Energy. And then the ignore dodge is also very helpful, especially against those enemies that have high level of dodge, like Corvus World Boss Ultimate. Other than that, this CTP is also good for those characters that have just one skill that deals tons of damage, like Gambit 5th skill or Cyclops tier 3 skill. So these are the best choices when it comes to a CTP of Energy. Moving on, we got the CTP of Destruction. This is a classic hybrid CTP, or what we call the half PvE and half PvP CTP. This CTP is for those characters that are able to do well in both PvE and PvP game mode. You need the guard break of immunity in PvP so that your characters won't get guard broken while doing their skill. It also gives you the penetration, which is very good in PvP as well. And of course, it also gives you the damage proc and crit damage, which is essentially important when it comes to PvE game mode. So this is my top 10 best choices for CTP of Destruction. We got Captain Marvel as the first one, followed by Deadpool, Quicksilver, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, Ant-Man, Captain America, Blue Dragon, and the God of Thunder, and the last one we got Doctor Doom. So these are the characters that you are gonna use for CTP of Destruction. But of course, don't expect them can do a very high stage of World Boss Ultimate except for Deadpool. Deadpool with a holiday party uniform, Deadpool can actually clear stage 99 Proxima and stage 99 Chorus as well, with just a CTP of Destruction. That's how powerful Deadpool is with just a CTP of Destruction. So that's an exception, and of course if you're having a CTP of Destruction on one of these characters, don't expect them can get a very high score in Extreme Alliance Battle or do extremely well against Master Mode or Galactus or one-shot any of the meta in PvP. It's not gonna work in that way because this is a hybrid CTP, half PvE and half PvP. So yeah, we can't really expect too much from a CTP of Destruction. So next up, we got a CTP of Judgement. This CTP is basically made for PvE game mode. However, this CTP can only do well in some of the PvE game mode, like some of the World Boss Ultimate, some of the Shadowland, and maybe some of the Giant Boss Raid as well. This CTP is not gonna help you to get a very high score in Extreme Alliance Battle, and this CTP is not gonna do well in PvP either, so just keep that in mind. So these are my top 10 best choices for a CTP of Judgement. We got Lunar Snow as the number 1 choice, Professor X number 2, Scarlet Witch number 3, Blue Dragon number 4, Apocalypse number 5, followed by Beta Ray Bill, Iceman, Storm, Jingray, and the God of Thunder. This CTP is basically for those characters that deal elemental damage, as what you can see on the list. Each of the character here that actually deals elemental damage. For example, Lunar Snow deals cold damage while Professor X deals mind damage. So that's how it is, nothing much to talk about this, so let's move on. Next up, we got the CTP of Greed here. This CTP is mostly made for PvP, but it also has a little bit of PvE, but it's mostly PvP. So this is my top 10 best choices for this one. We got Jean Grey, the easily number 1 choice, and then Quicksilver number 2, Deadpool number 3, Thanos number 4, Apocalypse number 5, and followed by Silver Surfer, Nova, Richard Rider, Gladiator, Black Widow, and the last one we got Odin with his All-Father's uniform. So these are the characters that are going to work pretty well with a CTP of Greed. This CTP has a guard break, which is going to be very important when it comes to PvP game mode, and then the Ignore Dodge is also a very good counter to those speed type like Quicksilver and Black Widow. And then the healing is nice as well, which can help you to survive longer in the match. And then the increased damage is the most important, the most powerful weapon, and that's where you will see those Jean Grey with a Greed can easily kill the enemies in PvP game mode with just a snap. So that's how crazy Jean is with a CTP of Greed. So that's all for the CTP of Greed. So moving on, we have the CTP of Authority. This CTP is mostly made for PvP content. This is going to be good to those characters that you want to use that in PvP game mode like Doctor Strange, like Thanos, Apocalypse, Jean Grey, Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, Strife, Scarlet Witch, Nova Sam Alexander, and Nova Richard Rider. Yeah. This CTP has an invincibility, has an immunity for guard break, and the true damage accumulation, which is super important when it comes to PvP game mode. This CTP is not as bad as people think. In fact, these characters are going to work very well in PvP with a CTP of Authority like Jean Grey, like Thanos, and Silver Surfer. But of course, if possible, it's always better to give them at least a regen. That would be nice if you can give them a regen like Jean Grey. Greed is probably the best choice. Otherwise, a CTP of Authority is not a bad choice either. So you can consider a CTP of Authority if you don't have a regen or a Greed. Other than that, this CTP is also good for those characters that don't have a lot of HP, but they can work very well in PvP game mode like Doctor Strange, like Scarlet Witch, as what I have listed here. So next up, we got the CTP of Regeneration. This CTP is basically made for PvP game mode, stuff like Timeline Battle or Alliance Conquest and stuff like that. So the top 10 best choices for this one. No surprise here, those PvP meta like the Immortal Hawk, Silver Surfer, Thanos, Apocalypse, Deadpool, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Doctor Strange, Gladiator, and Doctor Doom are the best characters when it comes to a CTP of Regeneration. This CTP is actually going to work very well, especially for those characters that has a healing ability on one of their skill or the passive skill like Wolverine or Deadpool. This is basically how you make the tanky character become more tankier, and that's why you give them more HP and more healing, and that's how you make the characters become even more difficult to be killed by the enemies. And then this CTP also has the shield and the guard break as well, which is essentially important when it comes to PvP game mode. And then of course, if possible, try to give a CTP of regen to those characters that have the revive ability like Silver Surfer, because he can take advantage of a regen for at least twice because of the revive ability. So that's all for a regen, and next up we got a CTP of refinement. It's kind of like the budget version of a CTP of regen. It only has like max HP and the recovery rate and the healing as well. That's it. The guard hit is not really useful, to be honest, so this CTP is not really good in any of the PvE or PvP game mode. So if possible, only give a CTP of refinement to those Alliance Conquest characters or Shadowland characters, because it's not gonna help you in timeline battle, because it doesn't have that guard break of immunity, and it's gonna help you in PvE game mode as well. But anyways, it's just my top 10 best choices for CTP of refinement. We got the Immortal Hawk as a #1 choice, followed by Blue Marvel, Wolverine, Colossus, Victorious, Destroyer, Wasp, Luke Cage, X-23, and the last one we got Abomination here. So these are the best options when it comes to a CTP of refinement. Moving on, we got the CTP of Insight, the support CTP. So this CTP is basically made for those characters that are very good as a support. So #1 we have Colossus. He is easily the #1 choice for a CTP of Insight, simply because you are gonna use him in almost all the PvP game mode as a support character to team up with either Jean Grey or Thanos, and this CTP of Insight is basically going to boost up the damage of your team, which makes your team even more stronger than ever because of the increased damage dealt to supervillain and superhero by 20%. So that is really nice. So when it comes to a CTP of Insight, try to give it to those characters that you want to use them as a support character instead of main hitter. If PvP is mostly Colossus or the Wasps, and that's why Wasp is on the list. Other than that, when it comes to PvE, those characters like Phil Coulson, like White Fox, Valkyrie, Nick Fury, Shuri, Taskmaster, and Ulysses Claus, and Ghost Panther are the best options when it comes to a CTP of Insight. So that's all for the CTP of Insight, so let's move on. Moving on, we got the CTP of Transcendence. It's always better to give a CTP of Transcendence to those characters that have summons, to those characters that have the clones as their main damage. To be honest, even though this CTP has an invincibility, but this is just not for PvP. It's just a normal CTP, so don't bring in this CTP into stuff like timeline battle because it doesn't have that guard break of immunity. This CTP is only for those Alliance Conquest characters or Shadowland characters. So as you can see right over here, this is my top 10 best choices for a CTP of Transcendence. Loki, Hela, Crescent, Nimrod, Ultron, Kikaiju, Moon Girl, Nightcrawler, and Ebonymore, as well as Chorus. So these are the characters that you can take into consideration when it comes to a CTP of Transcendence. Last but not least, we got the CTP of Patience. This CTP is almost similar to a Transcendence except for the ignore dodge on Transcendence and the dodge on Patience. So same case. This CTP is only for those Alliance Conquest characters or Shadowland characters. But for me, since I'm only using this CTP in Alliance Conquest, so I would rather to give this CTP of Patience to those characters that have high level of dodge, so that I can max out their dodge easily, which make them a little bit annoying and difficult to be killed because of the max dodge ability in Alliance Conquest. So as you can see right over here, this is my top 10 best choices for a CTP of Patience. We got Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, Arachnite, Miles Morales, Nightcrawler, Angel, Wasp, Ant-Man, Chorus, and perhaps Ebonymore. So these are the characters that you can take into consideration when it comes to a CTP of Patience. Alright guys, so that's all for the CTP guide, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.